Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring in Izzy Bedaleo. He's in my mastermind group. We've known each other for a while. You're based, of course, though, in the US. And just recently you've posted an interesting post which was on LinkedIn, and pretty much it's gone viral. So before we take up the story, so basically what this episode is about a an advertisement that could be classed as a little bit slippery, if you like, because basically what it is that Izzy uploaded a video and was started to ask the network questions. And basically what this video is, which will provide as a GIF format in the show notes. And what it is that when it was on a mobile device, when you go and click through to a ad, which is at the top of the mobile device, it clicks through to the ad and then it gets to the product page. But just before you're about to do anything else, there's a new pop-up that appears, which is a similar product, which looks like an Amazon product, and it's a lower price. So basically, you've invested to be at top of search on the mobile device. So you bidded to be there, thinking, okay, there's going to be a contribution here towards a sale. You know, not every click turns into a sale. But then Amazon is advertising something at half that price. But the only way you would know that is by clicking on your own ads or other people. Is that right, Izzy? Am I on the right track?
Said, yeah, pretty much. You summed it up. When basically this advertiser is paying for the ads that to be sent to his page, and they're not going directly to his page.
Cool. So talk me about discovery. How did, I spoke to Ellis. I hadn't personally seen it, but on the agency, Ellis had spotted it, but we haven't had much of a conversation. It was only when I tuned into what you sent into the group, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I took a step back when I looked at that, because I'm thinking Google wouldn't do this, Facebook wouldn't do this, or if they do, they wouldn't get away with it in terms of antitrust, surely. But Amazon is their own boss, their own platform. Totally get that. So tell me about how this come about, how you found it, etc.
Yeah, so I mean, I was actually looking at one of those virtual summits that are going on, I think in the next few weeks, looking at the list of speakers. One of the speakers, they mentioned speakers, brand owners, advertisers, software providers. One of the speakers it said he was a founder of a company called Nested Naturals.
Yeah.
So, supplement category is very competitive on Amazon and in general.
Yep.
So I was curious to see, the speaker, what his products look like, and, how he's doing on Amazon. So I sort of looked it up. I looked up on Amazon I just typed in Nested Naturals, and I saw the first product, Luna, Luna something. It's a melatonin supplement, helps people sleep. And I was actually in bed, and I just clicked on it, to look at the product, see the reviews, and then I saw that pop up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And what's going on over here? So then I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is just an extension of the desktop. On desktop, they show similar products, lower prices and things like that.
Mm.
Then I noticed that it was actually a sponsored ad. So that's actually what got me really angry was, I just cost that brand $1 or $2 or $3. Who knows how much they paid for that?
Yeah. Well, especially in supplements, the chances are that if it's on the main search, well, you actually done a branded search on that, didn't you?
It's a branded search, right?
Yeah.
But it's a big brand, a relatively big brand on Amazon. This is a big product. It's reasonable to expect that other brands would be bidding on their own brand name, and that's probably one of the reasons why they're bidding on their own brand name, to avoid that happening. So whatever other people were willing to pay for that click, they're probably paying a few cents more, right? So it could be 50 cents, it could be a lot more.
Yeah.
But either way, they're paying money here. There's some sort of, relationship going on between the advertiser and the brand and the Amazon, and where the advertiser is paying Amazon, a price per the click and expecting to get a service back, to get some sort of, value for what they paid. And the value, the way it was understood until today, was you pay for a click, you get a page view, and you get a customer that potentially will buy your product.
Yeah.
That extra pop-up in between is something that was never communicated to anyone. It's not part of the agreement, so to speak,
yeah.
between that is between an advertiser and a seller. And, in my opinion, it's highly unethical. Just again, in terms of business relationship, you have a partnership with the company, with an ad agency or whatever. You're giving them advertising dollars. You expect them to take those advertising dollars and use them to advertise your product, not other products, and not interfere in between with their own ad and their own trying to get exposure for their own stuff. So that's really the slippery part over here, where Amazon is acting both as your ad agency, your service platform, your logistics partner, and your competitor on every single one of those things.
Yeah, and not forgetting the frequency as well. Let's think about it if you break it down. So you've done it on the branded search, right? We don't know the frequency. Is that going to appear on every single branded search for that product? And will that same product that's half the price at $11.99 or near enough half the price at $11.99, will that appear every single time that the ad is run and clicked equally? What about other search terms that they're ranking for and the upper placements that are bidding high for? That will all of those ads have the same product or a similar product that's sold by Amazon? So the only way you would probably know is if you sat down and then you run a spreadsheet and counted every single click that you did to look for that ad to see how many times it appears. Because one other thing you've got to look at is that, sometimes you're thinking it's seasonality as the competition come in, your clicks to conversion ratio suddenly increases, but you don't know why. And that could be one of the reasons for it.
Right. So, there's no way to track this, at least not currently. There's no way to track this. And I would assume, any advertiser would want to track this. I don't know how this is affecting exactly this particular product.
Yeah.
Are their sales going down because of this? There's no real way to know. We had the brand owner actually commented on that post.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool about it. And he just, said, we this is what we deal with. This is Amazon. We really have nothing to do. We play in their play field. But, there's no way to track this. They could be doing this on any number of products at any given time. And that highlights another part of this issue, that Amazon makes changes left and right to everything, basically. And they've got better over the years in communicating those changes. For example, FBA fees, referral fees, upcoming changes. They've got pretty good at it, at least better than they used to be in communicating those changes to sellers ahead of time. But it looks like the private label teams and the advertising teams are not part of that, those changes, and they just make changes without communicating it to anyone, ignoring their customers essentially, right? Their customers, the advertising team's customers, are not the people buying on Amazon. They are us. They are sellers. Yeah. We are their customers, and they're completely ignoring us.
Well, they're not ignoring you because they are in possession of this post. And I can tell you why, is because I've shared it with the product team. I have a contact at Amazon that I'm dealing with, and I'll share this podcast with them after. For me, one of the key attributes of when we spoke, they wanted to communicate certain things. I won't go into detail. And I said the best thing that you could do with the FBA community or the Amazon community of sellers is to build trust with them. Find ways of building trust. And I gave them a load of ideas of what would benefit sellers and advertisers. The post itself, let's just go over the stats. The ironic thing here, the likes are at 666 for the devil. Yeah. And then you've got 340 comments and you've got 79,350 views. So it's, for a non-cat and dog post or someone slipping over in water, this is pretty much gone viral, would you say, in terms of the FBA community? There's not much stuff that goes this kind of volume in terms of views. And you said also that someone else with attribution and credit to you, they've got another 30,000 views when they've uploaded it elsewhere.
Yeah, they re-uploaded it on LinkedIn and got another, again, the views are nice and everything. It means people care about it. That's all it means. Yeah. It means, people are aware of this issue and they care about it. And like you said, the trust is the biggest issue. I think the issue is not really, the pop-up as more as it's the expectations, right? If if an advertiser is aware that when he pays for a click, there may be a pop-up leading to an Amazon, or any other product really, I mean, that's part of the game, right? Then they can make an informed decision. Do I want to advertise or not? Do I want to spend my dollars this
It's
way
choice.
or not?
What you're trying to get
Right,
to
it's choice. It's choice. Yeah, we have a choice. We want to know. If you do it without choice, then essentially you're paying for one thing and you're getting something else. So basically, you're not getting what you paid for.
Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed was many people were comparing this to the behavior in retail. That's, people pay for end caps, people pay for placements in retail, and then on the shelf next door, on the shelf right next to the product they paid for, the retailer puts their own private label. And people, a lot of the comments mentioned that this is, usual behavior in retail, and this is nothing to be alarmed of. And I mean, there is some sort of overlapping with what's happening in retail, but I think this is a lot worse. Someone mentioned in one of the comments a good analogy, which I think represents, in a better way what this is. He likened it to someone paying for an end cap in a retail store, and then when the customer goes to that shelf and grabs the product, someone comes over to him from the store or the cashier or anyone and tells him, "Don't buy this one. Go buy ours for half the price." Right? So this is not just presenting the customer with more choice. This is actively interfering with the journey of the customer, right? With the journey of the customer, which is a paid journey, right? The brand paid for this customer to be directed in a specific way. This is interfering with that direction and sort of trying to divert the customer to another product, which just so happens to be Amazon's product. And again, if this is all communicated to an advertiser has a choice to pay, maybe they'll even be willing to pay more to avoid such type of a pop-up. But as long as it's not communicated, that's really the main issue here.
Yeah.
I think Amazon, they're very good about recognizing where their where the power lies, right? So Amazon recognized very early on, essentially, right, Jeff Bezos, when it was founded, that the real power in retail is the consumer. If the consumer is happy, the end customer is happy, then you'll be in business, you'll be making billions, and nobody can stop you. If they're not happy, you're going to die very quickly. So that recognition basically is directing everything Amazon's doing, right? So everything they do, they keep in mind the end customer. And the reason, again, is because they know the end customer has the power. If customers stop, they decide not to buy by them anymore, they lose everything they have. I think they understand that sellers and partners don't have that same power. And that's why they allow themselves to sort of, make changes and basically do whatever they want without worrying about any consequences, because they know there won't be any consequences because sellers just don't have that power. It's not like a seller could say, "I'll go elsewhere." A customer could say, "I'll go buy, in the US, I'll go buy from Walmart, I'll go buy from Target, I'll go buy from Costco." Seller on Amazon, the only thing he could say, "I'll go sell on eBay," but it's not the same, right? He's not getting, there's no other destination you would get, right? You wouldn't get. So a seller is basically a captive audience. There's nowhere for him to go. And the same thing with the sponsored products. You could go advertise on Google and Facebook, but you won't get nearly the same return. And Amazon knows that. They know they've built something that is irreplaceable. Sellers have nowhere else to go, and they recognize sellers just don't have that power. So I think that's the underlying understanding that just it basically makes them not care as much because there will be no consequences. And I think that's something that needs to be changed because it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for a business. And I think for sellers, in the relationship between sellers and Amazon, it's getting to a level that the advertising business of Amazon is growing. They're saying it's in the billions already. It's just going to keep growing. It's going to become a much bigger part of their business. And in order for it to succeed for both sides, for advertisers and for Amazon, there needs to be trust in place. There needs to be a clear understanding of what is being paid and what it's being paid for and what's the results that advertisers are expecting to get. And right now, it looks like that's not in place.
Well, do you know, the other, just thinking off the top of my head now, is that they could have spared all of this. Why do that when you can just block out the top of page just for your own products? If you're going to be that blatant, why charge someone and then stick your product underneath? Why not just dominate the top and have done with it?
I think this is most likely not a conscious decision by Amazon to go target paid advertising, but I don't think that makes it any better. meaning, it could be an oversight. It could be two teams are not talking to each other. It could be a lot of things. Amazon's a huge company, and things could happen by mistake and all that. But again, just the fact that a private label team would make a change, would have a program that would sort of divert customers from one product to another, and there is no system in place. There is no process in place for them to check that against the advertising team, which is advertising the same products that they're targeting, and sort of work out, make sure that this won't have any side effects. Again, that's just a symptom that shows you that they are not so concerned about it. Because if they were concerned about it, there would be processes in place to make sure something like this doesn't happen.
Cool. I think we've just about covered every angle here. I mean, the comments are loaded. I'm going to add this to the show notes so people can have a look at the link and read through the comments. I mean, there's a lot of people concluding in the same direction as what we're thinking about it. But like you said, Amazon, from the outside looking in, we understand they work in silos. There's lots of, different departments, etc. But
there's no telling what they're doing. And from past experience, Amazon, I haven't seen them make many changes based on just posts on social media. So usually when things get to the media, the mainstream media, that's when they wake up and they.
Well, like you said, you've been approached by the media, haven't you? But I think it's fair to have there should be a platform where sellers should be able to say what they feel without. Do you see what I mean? Like some people just run to the press to sell bad stories or share bad stories because it's good PR for them and get their picture in the paper. But for me, it's not about that. I mean, this is really about accountability and to look after its own sellers. So that's why I want to cover this here. But you've been approached, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, just to go back to the point you mentioned before, I'm also not here to try and ruin anything or try to go after Amazon saying they're doing, they're not good people or anything like that. We all make a living off them, and they created a great platform that
exactly, they've created
opportunity for millions of business owners, and they're doing great things. There's no question. The problem is when they're so big, it's very hard for them and for us to communicate when there are issues, when we identify clear issues. And from past experience, when things came to the media, they usually pay more attention and make changes. So for me, the goal with, if any, there have been some contacts from media in the US that contacted me and asked for the video or asked for the background, and I gave them the info they wanted. And for me, the end goal of that is not to put Amazon in a bad light, rather to try and get their attention to what's happening. And
I think you've been very diplomatic in like what you've said. You've cohesively put your side of the story across and how you feel, and articulated it quite well. And I think most of the audience will agree.
Yeah, I mean, I really try hard. I post a lot about Amazon, a lot of different things, and I try to, post good things as well. Good things obviously don't get as much traffic because that's the way it should be. Good things is the way things should be, and they're not newsworthy. But when things like this happen, people get it gets a lot more attention because it's negative, and people always get drawn to the negative. But again, my end goal is really for something like this, to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. And just, I think, again, if there was more communication between teams at Amazon, more communications with advertisers and sellers. I mean, advertisers and sellers are becoming more and more a bigger part of the Amazon ecosystem, and Amazon recognizes that, and they're in the right direction. And I just hope that they'll pay more attention to these kind of things and hopefully announce them or sort of think them over before they just implement these type of tests and without any notice. Yeah,
makes sense. Cool. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way of reaching out to you?
I mean, I'm most active on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Izzy Ben Oliel, and just type it in search. You'll be able to find me. I'm very active there.
Cool. Guys, thanks for joining us. Izzy, thank you again for joining us. We'll get you out in the future. Don't forget, we've got Seller Sessions live in London, June 1st. Go to sellersessions.com/live for tickets, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.